Hey everyone, welcome to KU Sports Extra, the first ever KU Sports March Madness edition here of KU Sports Extra. Are you excited, Tom?
I'm a March Madman, dude.
That's excited. That's officially excited. We're going to totally break from the script this week. We're not going to give you good news, bad news. You know the good news, and if you've seen the bracket, you know the bad news too. We're not going to do any of the regular features. We're just going to do 4 separate videos, region by region, breaking down quickly each bracket and give you some fun things about each and our general thoughts. So this will start with the Midwest, where Kansas is the 2 seed. Just real quick before we get into our little breakdown, Tom, general thoughts about this region.
Well, first of all, Kansas didn't deserve a 2 seed. Kansas deserved a 3 seed. I think Iowa State deserved a 3 seed. But Kansas has an incredibly tough path. If they had sent them somewhere else on one of those 3 seeds,
Sure.
which they belonged at a 3 seed, they would have had a better shot of getting to the Final Four or even better shot of getting to the Elite Eight. So good news, bad news right there. but obviously this bracket's the toughest.
Yeah.
In my AP ballot, in the top 10 ones that I voted for, 4 of them are in this bracket.
Yeah.
Kansas being 10, Maryland 9, Notre Dame 8, and Kentucky 1. I mean, that just shouldn't happen. There shouldn't be 4 top 10 teams in the same region.
Agreed. And I thought it was really cool. It doesn't specifically relate to this bracket, but I thought it was really cool that when the committee released its 1 through 68 rankings of these teams, the Big 12 had, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I think that perfectly sums up the Big 12's year. Not a great team, but some really good ones. And 3 of those were 3 seeds, and one of them was a 2 seed in Kansas. So fantastic stuff. Well, we've got a little category game we're going to play with each of these regions, and obviously Wichita State looms. That's another thing that popped out about this bracket.
Oh, obviously, yeah, that was number 1, because if they can beat Indiana and Kansas can get past New Mexico State,
Then
here's
we
the
get
game that everybody wants.
We get the game, yeah, finally. That would be cool. And 3 Big 12 teams in this region. 7 got in. So when you say 3 in this, that means there's only, 4 in the other 3 combined.
Right.
So that was a little surprising to me, too, and especially because it was the first bracket that came up. It was the first one we saw on the selection show, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, 3 Big 12 teams, incredible.
Yeah, they're still counting. The ref was still standing over Kansas, counting to 10 when the bracket was all released. I mean, geez, what a deal to have to play. If you're lucky enough to get to the regional final, you got to play Kentucky. Wow.
Right, and what a road to get there. Good luck. That's all we can say. All right, Tom, who's your pick to win this region? We'll just start there with each one of these.
Kentucky, obviously. I mean, as loaded as a region as it is, the teams to me are best suited to beat Kentucky are in no particular order: Gonzaga, Wisconsin, and Arizona. None of them are in this bracket.
Yeah, I think Kentucky wins it pretty easily, but I do think there's one close game. I don't know where it'll be. Probably the Elite Eight, but you never know. They're just too talented. It's amazing. And Bill Self even talked about that at his press conference after the brackets came out. He said he was having a conversation with Norm Roberts about the lines, and first time you can see a team as such a heavy favorite that you can't even get even money on them.
Right, and that's called an odds-on favorite. When you're a better than 50-50 chance. Odds-on favorite is misused a lot, but that's the actual definition of an odds-on favorite, and it's very, very rare.
Yeah, and it's very, very right in this case.
Definitely.
I mean, come on. All right, let's move on. Best player in this region. Who do you got?
Best player in the region, let's see what I put down here. Karl Anthony Towns. I actually prepared for today's show. The center.
We'll let you hit pause, take a break, recover. Okay.
Any number of Kentucky guys you could have picked.
Yeah.
And you could have picked any number of them. And I went with Karl Anthony Towns. I think with adrenaline going, you'll see the best Karl Anthony Towns you've seen yet, and you've seen a pretty darn good one already.
No doubt. I went with Willie Cauley-Stein just because I love defense, and I love that he seems to be the guy. Calipari said this all year. He's the guy that makes us go. He's our heartbeat, our motor, whatever. I love how he plays defense. I love his offensive game, how it's kind of rounded into form, too.
I loved him as a wide receiver in high school.
It
was just so cool to watch.
Yeah, you don't see that every day either, that's
No.
for sure. Real quick, let's go off the grid. Let's do this real quick because you could have named 5, 6 different Kentucky guys. Who's the best player in the region not on Kentucky's roster. I'm going to go, while you look, I'm going to go with, I really, really, really wanted to pick either Ron Baker from Wichita State or Isaiah Taylor from Texas. I love both of those guys. I love their game. So, because of the Kentucky handicap, I had to go with Willie Cauley-Stein. But those would have been my picks. Did you find one?
Jerry and Grant of Notre Dame is obviously an outstanding player. I guess I'll go with him.
I like it.
Maryland's got a stud also, but I'll go with Jerry and
Grant's fantastic. I agree with you. All right, well, the strange seed. We're going to do that for each one of these regions as well. A seed, good or bad, that kind of jumps out at you. Did you find one in this region?
Well, obviously Wichita State would be on the whole tournament.
All of them, right?
Yeah, 7 seed for Wichita State. Should have been a 4, maybe a 5. 7 seed, ridiculous. Notre Dame should have been a 2. Maryland's a 4, should have been a 3. But Wichita State's in a class by itself.
It doesn't make any sense. They were ranked in the top 15 most of the year. They spent some time in the top 10. They're a 7 seed?
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense.
It's looking at those stupid numbers, strength of schedule, blah, blah, blah. It's just ridiculous. Plus, they like sticking it to the mid-majors. Yeah. They really do.
Yeah. I agree. I think if anybody has a beef, I mean, I know KU fans are a little less than thrilled about this bracket, but if anyone has a beef, it's Wichita State. 2 years in a row, and really 3 years in a row, even though they got to the Final Four that first year, they were an 8 or a 9 in that tournament and had to grind that way. So just insane. I agree with you that Wichita State is the
or as Butthead would say, insane in the membrane.
Cinderella. Who's your Cinderella in the Midwest?
Cinderella in the Midwest, and by that we don't mean coming out of the Final Four.
No, not going to win it all or anything.
Going to the Final Four, but I think Buffalo's a good team. Led Kentucky at the half by like 6 points. I had another real good game against a strong team. Bobby Hurley's the coach.
Yeah.
I could see them maybe winning a game or 2.
Sure. Yeah, I like that one. That's definitely a Cinderella. Mine is not what you think of when you think Cinderella. But
Kentucky.
I love Kentucky. That's it, the Wildcats. I really think this is their year. No, I'm going to go with Texas, the 11 seed in that region. Gosh, I'm having a really hard time not picking them to the Elite Eight. I just love Texas's talent. I know everybody hates their coaching, and that's fine. I do too. But I love their talent. And sometimes all you got to do is roll the balls out and let them play. And if Rick Barnes does that, I think Texas could definitely make a run, maybe get to that Elite Eight, and then see that rematch with Kentucky, which would be a blast.
Yeah, it would be a blast, and it wouldn't necessarily shock me if Texas got there.
Right.
You're right.
I
agree with everything you said. They're talented.
That's incredible. All right, coolest name in the region. I know you spent a lot of time, and you do this. You do this from time to time, and you love doing this. Just looking over rosters, looking for names that jump out at you. Neil Young would obviously jump out at you, but you found even better than that in, I think, all 4 regions, and you're going to highlight
Is there a
one.
Neil Young?
No, I don't know. There's got to be, though,
so.
right?
Not in the tournament this year.
Right, no, but over the course of time, Neil Young somewhere has played in the tournament.
Yeah, I wanted to name all 3 of our sons Neil Young, Keegan, but my wife didn't go for that.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks.
I went with Yogi Ferrell. Boo-boo. I just think Yogi's a great name, and it reminds you of Yogi the Bear and Yogi Berra all at once.
You stole it. Same for me.
Is that what you went?
It's such a good name.
Yeah.
It just makes you happy when you hear it. And his game's fantastic, too. This kid can play. He averages 16 points a game. He's tough to guard. He sets up his teammates. But forget all that. Forget watching him. When you hear them say, Yogi Ferrell headed to the free throw line, or Yogi Ferrell with another bucket.
Yeah, and he looks like, you look at him, you don't think, and then you hear the name Yogi Ferrell, how can he be any good? Same with Yogi Berra. You look at him, he doesn't look like a great athlete, but was a great athlete, a World Series performer.
Maybe that's why they named him Yogi.
Could be, or it could be they just liked the cartoon, which was named after Yogi Berra, right?
Yeah. Never know. All right, well, that's our breakdown of the Midwest. Real quick before we get out of here, let's just talk a little more about KU and their path. The thing is, everybody's looking at Kansas and being in Kentucky's region, but Bill Self said it. Let's just call it like it is. If we get to the Elite Eight and we get to play Kentucky again, that'd be a great season. And nobody around here would be crying about that, even if they got beat by 30 again. So I think that's how you have to do it when you look at Kansas. You have to just really zoom in, fire that microscope and get tight on what's ahead, not what could happen.
And, Kansas is a 2 seed, but I don't think they're carrying the burden of expectation for a high seed because they don't really feel like a 2 seed. A lot of the 3 seeds don't really feel like 3 seeds this year, so I don't think they'll play tight. They just may not have the weapons this year to get all the way to the regional final, and I don't even think they'll play tight against Wichita State if that matchup comes about. I think they'll play aggressively, knowing that's the way to beat Wichita State because Wichita State's going to be aggressive.
Right. Well, they do have Perry Ellis, and if he's healthy, that'll help. And they do have Bill Self, and that always helps. So I don't think this is a panic situation. I think KU's got a decent shot to keep advancing. But I'm
picking them to get to the next city, which is Cleveland.
Right, yeah, I am too. And I think that I speak for you. We really want to see that Wichita State KU game.
I think it's awesome.
I mean, that would be such
I'd like to see it every year myself.
Right, but it wouldn't be bigger than this.
Yeah, had they played every year,
right?
Yeah, that would have taken away from this.
That's
game.
True. Yeah.
So I'm glad they have it, and I don't want Kansas to ever play Missouri unless it's in the tournament. Because then it would be huge.
And the next time it can happen, it probably will.
Or if at some point Kansas and Missouri and Arkansas, the SEC decides I don't like this. I want to get back to 12. And then you see Missouri and Arkansas come back to the Big 12. Then I'd like to see them play twice a year, and it'd be fun.
And Marquette. Just throw something in about what you'd like to see with them right now.
With Marquette, I'd like to see
a hot tub time machine where Jameel McKay does not transfer.
Well, that would have been something because he's exactly what Marquette would have needed, and Buzz Williams decided he would redshirt Jameel McKay. And he said, redshirt? I'm too good to do that. And he transferred, and he's way too good to do that. He would have been great, but that's enough on Jameel McKay.
Yeah, we can talk about him when we get to
He's great, though.
South region.
He's great.
All right, that's all the time we've got for the Midwest and this edition of KU Sports Extra. Be sure to click on the other regions as they come out on the tumble roll of our website on KUsports.com. And if you've got some thoughts, you've got a cool name we didn't hear maybe, put it in the comment section below. We'd love to hear the ones we missed. Thanks for checking out this episode, and we'll talk to you guys next time when March Madness is in full swing.